the show with us. Our series is titled as Wiping Out the Norm, and you clearly have been one of the crucial forces in this regard, because you started your journey from being a physicist, studied physics all throughout your career, and today you are a well-known investor. A career that is, of course, unconventional and something that others can't envision. So this requires some kind of strength and belief in yourself to be able to do it. So to start things, how did you even start your studies in physics? Where did that interest come from?
Thanks, Radhika, and great to be here. I love the title of your show, Wiping the Norms, and we need many more women doing this. So great that you are sort of talking to so many of us, and there's so many out there
Right.
who I'm sure you'll catch. So coming to my journey, I actually am from a business family, but my father was an entrepreneur, one of the early tech entrepreneurs. And because of that, I had early exposure to technology,
Okay.
to actually even scientists in India and abroad. And I think that fueled my interest. We were, my father's company, the one that founded Paula was one of India's first really tech and IT company
Right.
back in the 60s. So when I was young, I would meet his customers. A lot of them were scientists from the government or engineers, and I think that got my curiosity.
Yeah.
That was a major factor in my getting my interest into sciences, and particularly physics and math. I also was quite good at it. I think it was also because I had very good teachers in school, and my physics teacher and my math teachers were really outstanding. So they were not just bookish or creating just getting marks, but they really created interest.
Yeah.
My brother also was very interested, and both of us used to talk a lot about it. So all that led me to go into the sciences.
Yeah.
And actually, I did. I would have gone for engineering, but I wanted to pursue pure physics.
Okay.
So I was very enamored by the challenge of a difficult subject like physics.
Yeah.
And the possibilities that it opened up. So I chose to do physics at St. Xavier's College. It was a great place, because again I had some great professors, some wonderful peers. We did some good amount of stuff with our hands to build things, and I think that allowed me to continue my initial interest. I went on then to study abroad in the US, and I continued with physics. Even in the US, actually, I was, I think, one of two women in my department at Stanford University. In the Department of Applied Physics. It was a tough department. It was a tough subject. But again, I had never thought that physics is something women can't do, because I think my father was always very encouraging.
Yeah.
My teachers as well. So I never thought that it is something special to be a woman studying physics.
Yeah.
It was when I was in the US that I realized that actually the representation is very minuscule in STEM in general. I was also a teaching assistant like postgraduate students are in the US.
Yeah.
And a class full of students, undergraduates, will have very few girls in physics.
Yeah.
So I recognized that this is not something that is very common. Even in engineering, my brother went to IIT. There were very few girls at that point. So I'm talking about 80s.
Right.
I don't think it's changed drastically. I think IIT actually has changed quite a bit. There are a lot more women there now. But overall, representation of women in STEM continues to be less. Nonetheless, I think I got to see how science can make an impact. That also sort of encouraged me to pursue this further.
Yeah.
Because I saw how various technologies come out of basic sciences. If you talk of physics, then all the semiconductors already that is in your phone, in the cameras, telecommunication network, all of that, fundamentals are physics.
Yeah.
So for me, that was really, going beyond what is in theory or in your textbooks. You're actually using fundamental sciences to create things which is not only of use to humans, to the mankind, but is actually completely changing the way we live.
Yeah.
right? So there is a big impact. My father had started the company in the job with the motto of better life through technology
Okay.
back in '66.
Huh.
So since then he had envisioned that. And one can see today all the more, right, how having a phone in the hand of, a remote villager, for example, in a country like India or Africa,
Yeah.
or having technology which will enable somebody in a remote place
Mm.
to have telemedicine.
Yeah.
Uh, or, we have all these satellites up there which are giving so much data, which can help farmers. There's so many applications.
Right.
So, I think that was also a big motivation for me to continue to study sciences and physics.
Right. And how did this opportunity of Stanford come into picture? You'd already done your MSc in physics.
Yeah.
So what led you to study more and more into
Yeah.
the same area, and what led you to Stanford?
So, Stanford is one of those education institutes which I would say does not look in the rearview mirror.
Huh.
It does not look on its past. It looks in the future. So how can we use what we have to build something for tomorrow? So they're a forward-looking institution. And I think that had always attracted me to it. Now, physics as a subject is an old subject. A lot of things have been done. And of course, you have to study it. But what to do with it? I think that is where I thought a university like Stanford really had integrated very well with, say, Silicon Valley. Silicon and material science, all that is nothing but physics, right? And the chips all came from there. A lot of the big companies which are today household names, Intel and all, we don't even give it a thought. But it all came, so many of those came from universities like Stanford, right? So I thought it's a great place if you want to apply sciences, all the things that I've learned.
Yeah.
So I applied to the Department of Applied Physics, which is different than theoretical physics or physics. And I got in, and again, it's a very solid physics department, but very closely linked to, say, the Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Lot of the projects that we did was supported by companies in the valley, or even the government, or various other global institutions like NASA, etc., to the founder, to the company.
Right. Yeah, that's so true actually. And these days, like, the power of capital has shifted from it being in the hands of the founders, where they chose their investors, to now investors coming back and choosing their own companies after the frenzy that we all saw. But just to ask you as to how do we differentiate ourselves being a strategic investor from the other funds? What value do we help the entrepreneur space?
So, when I look at an investment, of course, you want that you understand the investment thesis. You look at what value the founders bring, what experience do they bring, and so on, and what are the gaps. Particularly in the startup, there are many gaps that the founding team may have. The ecosystem itself may be quite daunting. Let's look at climate. It's one of the theses at Aureolis Ventures. We believe that lots of complex problems in the world are there because of the crisis in climate, and we need to solve a lot of those problems. When we look at those complex problems, we have to have a founder who is able to understand that, who is aligned with our thesis that we need to solve this problem. Because it's a complex problem, it needs not just money, but, let's say, connection with different organizations, different regulators, even different stakeholders. So, for example, there is a company that we invested in, Pixxel, which is a satellite data company. They look at, they made actually that whole product themselves, the young guys from Pixxel, and they actually put the satellite up now, and with their camera that they made. But now, even they were a young team, they needed connects with ISRO people, NASA people. Were young, but they had the understanding. So, along with money, obviously you ideate with them is what are the different applications you get? How can you build use cases to solve this problem? There's another young entrepreneur who's very concerned about pollution, air pollution, and he's created this product which can suck out pollutants from air.
Okay.
Very difficult technology as well as difficult to solve. Now, to solve this at scale, he needs connects not only with customers but also with governments, with other bodies who are into this. So we can bring in value by firstly amplifying this message, by connecting them to the right people, also just giving them advice on how to do sales, B2B sales, for example, or how to really price these products. So I think there are a lot of things, particularly in the startup phase. Then as they mature, you have to be the bouncing ball.
Yeah.
Because by then they know more than you do. Right? In any case, they probably do because they've done so much work in that area. But as they grow and as larger investors come in, as early investors, I think we have the trust. So strategically, they would like to bounce off with us as early investors. So you have to keep that trust up. They'll also face a lot of setbacks. Any startup does, right? Before they can raise a large amount. So I choose companies, to coming back to your question, I choose founders where they're open to feedback. They're open to accepting that what can go wrong and not wishing it away. So that they're prepared for these challenges. And founders who will work with investors to solve various problems that they will face. So those are the kind of founders we choose. In terms of investors choosing companies, of course we have our own thesis. So one, for example, for Aureolis, we look at climate is one, deep tech is another, health and AI is another. So we look for companies which are breaking down some problems in these kind of spaces. So one of the companies that we've invested in is two young women. One is a data scientist, one is a neuroscientist, and they are making a product which uses machine learning to do better diagnosis of neuro diseases like Alzheimer or autism and so on. It's a difficult problem, but we obviously needed the right kind of entrepreneurs. So it matched our thesis, and the founders also sort of came with not only with the passion, with the commitment, but also the right background.
Right.
So, you have to look for a whole package. Earlier, I've invested in that time she was a young woman who wanted to give access to energy for rural households. And she had worked in microfinance. And we went with her to the villages and we realized it's a big problem. The villagers actually have needs, they also have money, but they don't get access either to energy or to lots of other products. So we decided to support her, and today she has 35,000 women on the ground who are talking to villagers and understanding their needs. And from fintech to phones to agri products to makeup, she's selling all kinds of things through these women on the ground.
Wow,
and so it's called Frontier Markets.
Okay.
And amazing example of resilience and actually large opportunity as well, but a difficult one to crack.
Right.
Going into rural India is not easy. So again, she needed investors who understood that it's not easy to solve this. It's going to take time.
She was looking for patient capital.
Yes, she was looking for patient capital. So she chose investors who were able to give a patient capital. In some of the companies, where I can add value with my technical background, or because I come from a business family and have access to the corporates, that's another sort of angle that we bring. Because my connections with the US and the Stanford and other universities, that's another value add that we can do. So I think as an investor also you have to be mindful of what else you can do besides capital. But it has to be something that the founders want. We cannot be over-imposed.
Yeah.
We cannot impose any of these things on the founders, and we have to also know when to draw a line. It's not, the company has to be run by the founder.
Yeah.
But I've seen, most of the founders are very, early stage, are very helpful for strategic help.
Right.
Including, for example, getting senior team members. It's very difficult for young founders.
Correct. You also have invested in Chalo, which recently raised another round of funding. So could you tell us the story of how you happened to invest in the founder?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite stories because Chalo founder Mohit Dubey is the founder of one of my first investments ever, a company called Carvani.
Yes.
That we invested in when I was with Seedfund in 2006.
Okay.
And I'd seen Mohit and his team and his co-founders build out this amazing company of used cars and cars, nothing like that existed. And they grew very well. I'd seen how he built the team with great discipline and how he executed on the ground.
Yeah.
So I knew that for Mohit, execution is the key. Chalo, which is challenging mobility, which is actually focused on public transport, I think has a very strong thesis which matches our thesis that public transport can really be a big game changer if we have good public transport. In a lot of the other problems we have mobility. So of course EV is one part, but unless we bring good public transport, we will never overcome the problems of mobility. Right? So the skill that was required was that of talking to bus operators, talking to people on the ground, convincing BST or BMC or other municipal corporations for adopting digital technologies and improving the experience for users. And I've seen him do this so successfully on the ground in Carvani. So whatever it was, like whatever Mohit does, I would be happy to invest. So it was sort of, I call it my second generation investment because I knew the founder. But also it aligned with the thesis that I was driving at, we really believe in Aureolis. So it was a strong match and I continued to participate in all these rounds. So I started investing very early when it was just an IPO.
Oh wow! Your stake must be valued very high now. It should be like a pendulum, travel in the future but come back in the present.
That's a good way to put it. I'll use that.
Yeah. Right. But you have yourself also grown your father's business. How did you face different challenges into that? And you must have witnessed it also being IPO'd. It was one of the first Indian IT companies to do so.
Yeah.
So tell us about that journey of yours of building
So the IPO actually happened when I was still young. I was a student in the US, but it was the first IPO in the country back in 1988. So I had seen the scale happen. It was a joint venture with digital equipment like HP. So it was definitely very momentous. After that, when I came back, I started the optical communication division with fiber optics. So I worked with telecom companies like Reliance and so on, which were just coming. Lots of challenges because doing business in India is challenging, but also working in technologies like this is challenging. But it was quite exciting to be part of the first teams that was involved in laying the optical fiber network in the country, which has led to the telecom revolution. So I worked with many companies like Tata's, Reliance, Department of Telecommunications itself, and sold the instrumentation and solutions and consulting as well to do this. So that was very, very exciting. Very challenging because you had to, it was a very sort of a hard world, right? Because you're selling equipment into telecommunication. The women who also did a lot to the government, which is not easy. It's not also as bad as it made out to me. I think there are some very good people out there. Anything to do with infrastructure, you have to go on the government. So it was quite a learning experience to build a team that would do that and so on. There were also setbacks. I mean, we did a whole project with one of the very large telcos to build a video network, which would be, with the set-top box. We also made the set-top box to have what we say today is there was only there was no Tata Sky even then. So the two options were either you put the fiber which will go to home and it will get video delivered at home, or you could have done on the Tata Sky route, which is satellite. We did the fiber route because the quality is much better, much better. We did the entire POC for that, but that company chose to go the satellite route.
Okay.
So the entire thing was done. It was then adopted by Reliance later. But that particular lost the entire project. We made the set-top boxes. And it was called IPTV.
Okay.
So TV which comes on IP, which is now come. So we were ahead of our time. So that project failed.
Oh.
So that was also a learning that it's not just the technology was the best, but that's not enough. Okay, that was a great learning that I also applied out in my investing. That just the technology is not enough. You have to see the whole problem holistically. Is the ecosystem ready to adopt the technology?
Yeah.
Maybe ahead of the curve. A lot of the companies that we even saw in Seedfund, I think that was before data became ubiquitous. You may not even remember, but when you land in Bangalore, you switch off the data on your phone because it was so expensive to have data outside of Mumbai. There were different circles, right? So it was very difficult for a lot of companies to scale. There were no credit card penetration was very low. There was no UPI. So for even Redbus, like paying online and all this stuff. So the learning I had from my as a businesswoman was that you can't just be focused on your technology. I was very focused on saying this is the best technology and I'll deliver the best video quality at your home. But if you can't put that last mile fiber, which was due to regulations, you have to have rights of it, you will not succeed and we didn't succeed. Well, I might say that I mentored them, but I learned a lot from them. So lots of them.
But tell me that you said that you were keen on solving hard problems that entail technology as a part of it as well and creates a deep impact. But when it comes to consumer-specific brands like MCafe, it might not be a necessary need for everyone, but once introduced in the market, it can be either adopted or not, taken in a good light. So, how do you really see consumer as a category of investment? Because that doesn't really require a lot of technology as such.
Well, so the way I think you put technology there is now everybody has a technology efficiency. So I wouldn't say that's now sort of part of any business.
Yeah.
I think there is innovation. So I think technology by itself is useless. I think the innovation, for example, that caffeine brought is using a particular product, right, a particular ingredient, and creating a whole market segment around it. And it is impacting a whole class of women.
Yeah.
Because they are promoting also that dark skin is good.
Yeah.
And it's also very calorie friendly. So they are very focused on the packaging being green and so on. I also see it as an opportunity to influence founders.
Yeah.
We stick to certain good practices and so on. It's a woman-focused thing, which is a big theme for me.
Right.
So it is addressing some needs of women and creating impact. So gender lens investment is very important.
Yeah. But which other sectors are you seeing being market creators? Like you said, this was a new product and it created its market on its own. So which other sectors or rather industry are you seeing such innovation?
So, I mean, wellness, there's a lot of stuff happening. One of the companies we've invested in from Stanford Angels and also from Aureolis, a company called Gold Care. It's men's sexual wellness.
Okay.
It's something that's very difficult to talk. And there are very few organized solutions. So it's a category creator. It's creating impact. and it's an interesting brand, but it is more for the impact.
Right.
That we have a company called Clinic, which is working with insurance to give access to organized healthcare to your middle class of India, which has been missing. How do they use technology? They use data to really give very affordable healthcare. So I think wellness is another sector. Health and wellness is another sector. I mentioned Brainsight, which is a neuro company, which is a diagnostic. That's more, I would say, deep tech. Then, of course, I mentioned Chalo, which is mobility. In direct to consumer, we are seeing a lot of brands. We are seeing one brand, for example, for skincare, which is using technology to actually solve problems. So it's just we have invested, but I've seen companies which will just look at your image and use AI to do solutions. So in edtech, the use of technology to improve outcomes, learning outcomes. There's a company called Terra.2 that we invested in the US. It's a tech company for climate. So if you want to do a climate startup or you want to figure out what the problems to be solved, you can take courses there. So they're a category leader. Don't be like that. There's another company in edtech called Inspirit. They're using 3D technology to teach STEM more effectively, and the learning outcomes are amazing. They're in the US, but they've just signed with 3 state governments to implement it in government schools. Now imagine if learning outcomes in STEM changes for people in government schools in India or any school. It's a huge impact, and there is absolutely to use it. So I'm not, we should not also box ourselves in technology only. Because, like I said, you have to look at holistically. I always think of my failure when I was totally focused on your technology and ignored the rest. So while it's very important, and I will definitely run some part of my fund will only focus on deep tech, I want to solve important problems. Like I said, I want my capital to be used for solving important problems. Getting the women to take charge of their finances is an important problem. We have another company which is using technology for enabling smaller businesses to do better through Insta and WhatsApp. It's a back end. And they can track and they can do marketing and it's a multi-renewal. There's another company which has got a great AI platform to translate on the fly and use voice to reach to rural customers. So these are only technology based, but not limited to only technology.
Right. You also spoke about problem solving. Sometimes the problem might not be visible as such. You really identify your market first and then tell the consumers, okay, this is the problem. Consumers won't even know that it's a problem. So in that case, especially in D2C brands, which are more so tasteful, like Skippy, which recently came on Shark Tank, it's not solving any problem as such, but it's a good add-on in any consumer's life's journey for their tasteful experience. So what do you have to say for that kind of category?
No, see, it's innovation. Right? We need these categories also to be there. I think the point is whether we can add value to such a company, right? I think food is very important because what you consume is, firstly, it's an experience and also going to affect you. So, in food, for example, we have seen, because we have a climate disease, we looked at alternate proteins or things like seaweed and so on, which are very good for you and you're not out there. They've created these quinoa chips. They've created categories and you are giving access to the consumer. So I think that's important. You have to be responsible. Obviously, we don't want to. I would not want to support a brand which is not good for your body, whether it's cosmetics or whether it's food. So you bring in responsibility as well into this. I had funded a company which was very into health foods. We got acquired, but it had excellent products,
Okay.
which were for the keto diet, low carb diet, and which were, you would have all the ingredients listed and everything, and there were also meals and so on. So it was a bit D2C,
Yeah.
or B2C, whatever you call it, but there was innovation in how they were packaging, how they were delivering,
Right.
all of that, right? So you have to be broad about innovation. I think you have to use technology when it is required. So you have to have right technology. It doesn't all have to be deep tech. The reason I brought in deep tech and why it's a thesis at Aureolis is you can't, at least in our case, we are not looking only at deep tech. But we do want certain amount of our capital to go to that because it is a difficult problem.
Yeah.
It requires a lot more time. And a lot of health products or health tech requires a lot more time to do. We've invested in a diabetes reversal company. Now, other people are also doing it.
Yeah.
They are using some technology to enable, but look at what impact it will make. So, I think the first thing we have to see is the founder, whether the value system is aligned and the vision is aligned. The second is what problem are they solving, right, and how. Whether technology is part of it or not is one question to ask. But I think there are many other questions that we need to ask. In D2C brands, for example, there is activewear companies, right? Or there are shoe companies or whatever. Some of them are solving a problem of unmet needs. You can always say that, look, today in second, third tier towns in India, they get to buy certain things. It's also solving a problem of access. So I think one should not be limited.
Correct.
But we try to do 90% of our investments are very consistent. And we think that gives us a discipline and also gives us a muscle memory, as I said earlier.
Yeah.
So you know what works in certain sectors.
Right. But with this, we come to the last round of our interview, which is the rapid fire segment. Starting off with what are the top 3 qualities that you will look at in a founder's pitch, which really catches your attention as an investor?
So the first thing is clarity. The second thing is honesty. And the third thing is, attention to detail. It may sound frivolous, but I do think that a founder will be able to communicate because there's a lot to be done.
Correct.
So pre-pitch, these are the traits.
Understood. What's the best and the worst piece of advice you've ever gotten?
I think the best piece of advice I've gotten is be yourself and believe in yourself.
Okay.
I think that's an easy one. The worst piece of advice is it's a difficult one, but I think you should follow certain rules because you're a woman.
Okay.
I've been given that advice multiple times that don't speak up too much, and so which is that piece of advice.
Yeah. But following that, what are the kind of biases that you've faced in your career so far? Because you've spent a lot of your time in Bay Area, and people there, especially the white men, as the world calls them to be, they're not so they don't accept women being on the same table as them, especially when it comes to board meetings.
Well, when I first went to US, and actually, like I said, nobody in India told me why you study physics, you're a woman. Somebody in the US told me, but you're studying physics, but you're a woman. And I never heard that. So that, also put it in my head that people here are not necessarily accepting. I actually had very good male mentors most of my life.
Okay.
So I didn't really face that till I got onto boards. And one particular board of one of my companies where we had a strategic investor also, which is a large corporate, and their CFO was on the board. He would not make any eye contact with me. He also told me that, Madam Ji, you should not do certain things. मैं आपको advise देता हूँ that आपको थोड़ा softly do. Okay, and also he would say, this is a hard thing. Like, you have to tell the founder some, difficult things that, okay, we will not do you second, third, but yeah, आपसे नहीं होगा. Let me do this. You just pamper them a little bit and, be the good cop. No, you won't be able to do it. For the longest time, they would not even make eye contact. There was a founder who came into our office, and me and my colleague, who was also a woman, we were sitting in the conference room, and he came and looked around and just sat and said, I just waited. So I said, you can start putting a presentation or whatever. I said, no, I'll wait for the partners to come.
Oh,
Right?
my
So
God.
this was a young man,
Ah,
young IIT graduate. So
okay.
very arrogant. And then I said, we are the partners. He said, oh, but I don't know social impact. So there was a stereotyping that a woman will only be doing impact. So whatever social impact.
Yeah.
So, and then we gave a very bad pitch. So, they were not convinced.
Yeah.
This has happened quite a few. I mean, I'm on boards also in the Bay Area. They're very, usually, they're one or two women.
Okay.
And they're usually very curious about brown women wanting to know how we got there. But I think it changed. It has changed. I think, I don't think I've experienced too much of that in the Bay Area, in the US. I think we need to change attitudes here as well. I mean, particularly in the VC industry, as you know, we are very few. In the finance industry, we are very few. I often say I remember every woman founder who has pitched to me because there have been so few. The last 17 years that I've been in this space, I can remember every woman founder. Only because there have been
Very few.
very few. In the last, I think in my journey in Aureolis and Stanford Angels, a funnel is one. We're seeing more women. And there's more confidence in women. But there is still a lot of alpha male vibe in the VC industry. Even at my age, if somebody is able to
Still,
correct.
people don't want to put
So,
their
which is why you have to tame your greed.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But when it comes to the founder-investor agreement, the term sheet, what are some of the terms that are non-negotiables for you?
So for me, I want to make sure that it's a fair agreement, but I have to look at my own interest, right? So an exit clause is extremely important. Tag along and drag along rights, which make sure that you don't have hostile takeovers on either sides, and you as an early investor, can also get the upside when there is an exit. So exit rights are crucial. There's something called liquidation preference.
Yeah.
So the company shuts down, you have to get that liquidation, and without that you get nothing, and your capital has scaled the company early capital, so you want that. I also like to put in anti-dilution, so they're dying down now to protect your stake. And then there are certain veto rights so that the founder stays on. The founder can't just up and leave. So all those just some clauses for the founders. I don't like to put very onerous clauses on the founders that okay, will come and take the house away and so on. But I do want to make sure the founder is responsible and respects the founder. So the standard term sheets, I think, do a good job at doing that. Invariably, there is a back and forth about veto rights or what kind
the
of
terms of exit, the duration.
terms of exits and so on. So I think a lot of it is legalese. It's just legal terms. You can't enforce a lot of it. Even liquidation preference, it's not always enforceable.
Correct.
It's a deterrent. And we have had companies where the founders, we have given our liquidation, what has come to us, the founders have got zero. We've given some to the founder. And reverse has also happened.
Okay.
Whereas the founder thought that we should have not been fair to the investor, and the larger investors have come. They have given from their own gains to other investors. So I think a lot of it is on relationships. But when legal terms are concerned, you certainly have to protect yourself. There are all kinds of founders out there. So you certainly have to use law firms to build threats.
Right.
But if you can't trust the founder, I don't have to do it.
Rather not do it at all.
If I really find, even in negotiation, that there's mistrust, I've walked out of several deals because of you feel like, why is the founder not signing this? Not trusting me, or they're putting in some clauses which are not great. And there's too much time wasted on it. You just walk.
Yeah.
Because you just extrapolate as to what will happen at the time of a real exit.
Correct.
Right? So, exit clauses, those are very important.
Yeah.
You're having a founder who has exited on your team trips. Because you can think from both sides.
Correct. What's been your most fond childhood memory?
On childhood memory, there have been many. I think I went with my father to see the launch of a satellite.
Wow.
When Dr. Kalam was there.
Okay.
I think that was quite special.
And lastly, what's the last thing that you did for the first time in your life?
Last thing that I did for the first time in my life? Well, I've been trekking a lot.
Okay.
But for the first time when I went to Ladakh, and I had to cross 9 rivers to come back. It was definitely a first.
Yeah. And the last, I'm hoping.
I hope it is the last, because I don't want it so scary in my life.
Yeah. But it's so nice to see you do that. At this age also, I mean, we get tired in this age doing all this.
So my sons were there who were great motivators because they were going so fast, but it was very scary because there was some flooding and we had to get out. So it was definitely, I do want to check again, but I don't want to face this kind of
Quite an adventure, but it's been great chatting with you, Paula. Thanks a lot for sharing your insights. I just felt like some other founder sitting with an investor, brainstorming about how the decades have changed in India when it comes to the world of entrepreneurship. And it's so great to see you be a part of it and share it with all of us today.
I mean, it's always good to look back, and always exciting to look ahead.
Yeah.
So the founders really make me look ahead. And that's always fun. And I hope I can bring my experiences to help them.
Right.
I've been in this industry for a long time and having done a lot of entrepreneurial and interesting things.
Right. But cool. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Radhika, and keep doing what you're doing.